Hey everybody, how's it going? Christian from Treasure Town here, and today I'm with Wes from Americana Rare Coin. We've known each other for a little bit, met at the ANA Summer Seminar, and I just wanted to bring him on to kind of hear his story. He's doing a lot of cool things in the coin industry, so welcome, Wes.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to talk. Been doing a little, mostly conversations with Chris Tisdale, great guy, but I wanted to kind of branch out and kind of get a little bit of a different perspective. You kind of working in a brick and mortar store, and just kind of having a unique experience, obviously, when it comes to coins. But I was just kind of curious, you're a younger person in coins, like how you've gotten to be in a serious position, but at a younger age, kind of like where you started collecting coins and like how the process has led you to where you are today.
Yeah, great question. Pretty much when I was little kid, my grandfather gave me a box of coins. Was like, "Yo, look these up, see if there's anything in there." He didn't know anything about coins. He didn't really care, honestly. And I looked them up, thought they were really cool. It was pretty good variety of type coinage. I was really fascinated by the barber stuff. And yeah, just a couple bust halves, some paper notes, nothing crazy valuable, but that's kind of really got me started. Just kind of started going shop to shop as I got older in high school. And then after college, just kind of still did the same thing. I had a full-time job, was still going shop to shop after work every day. And then Glenn had invited me out here to be part of Americana Rare Coin in Sacramento, California. And here I am a year later, just still kicking.
That's great. That's great to hear. And obviously, we'll talk a lot more about what you're doing right now. But I'm kind of curious about something that you said that you were going shop to shop. I'm not sure every viewer out there would kind of know what that is. Like, I'm curious what that process looked for you.
So pretty much it was just like going into a shop, seeing what new purchases they had made for the day. I would be consistent. So I would go multiple times a week to each shop, and just essentially just cherry pick them for like better varieties or stuff that I thought that they had undergraded or underpriced, and took it to another shop, put it on Instagram for sale, eBay for sale, and just other outlets, Facebook, stuff like that, and just would try and be a vest pocket dealer and sell stuff. So yeah,
Awesome.
shop to
And
shop.
are there any big kind of finds that got you excited? You mentioned varieties. You also mentioned like undergrade. Maybe I'm curious, maybe on the varieties side to start, because that's something I talk a little bit about on the channel, as well as better finds. But I'm curious what your kind of variety, if there's a few that come to mind of some particular exciting finds that you did when you were kind of starting out as a vest pocket coin dealer.
Yeah, not long ago, about a year and a half ago, right before I had came out here, I had found a really cool. It was a 1797 half cent, and you could tell it was overstruck on something. And when I did the further research, I found the exact coin that it was struck on top of, and it was a Talbot and Lee token, which apparently was pretty common that they were struck on top of these, but they decreased the planchet size, so it was already a coin. They shaved it down or punched it out, and then used that planchet, which was also just copper, and made the 1797 half cent. That was cool to see, and it was in about probably a VF20, so it was, you could see a lot of the detail left on it and what was underneath it as well. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and were you able to buy it as just a regular 1797 half cent, and then like go through the process of doing the legwork to get the designation or whatever it was on your end?
He did know that it was overstruck. The book he had actually said it was common that they were overstruck, so he didn't really think anything of it. But the level of detail that was left on it of the host planchet was pretty astounding, and he had undergraded it a little bit, and I had picked it up for a pretty good price.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And that's something I've heard of a lot. I haven't really talked to a ton of people who do it, but the whole process of getting coins that are undergraded, or, they are not exactly priced where they are. That seems like something you were also kind of alluding to before when you're looking for undergraded coins. What's the process there? I mean, is that a lot of like online research, or is it looking at a lot of coins? Like, what do you think your experience has been on that side?
Yeah, so it's pretty much just seeing a lot of coins, so specifically on Morgan dollars, it's a great example would be the scarcer dates. If an MS64 is worth $100 and an MS65 is worth 1,000 or 10,000, that 1 point grade spread, they're going to be a lot less willing to give it on the rare date. But on the common date, where the price difference between an MS64 and an MS65 is $10, they're not really going to care. If the coin's nice, it's next. They're not even really going to think about it. But generally, undergraded material. So I like to look at raw material, so ungraded stuff.
Okay.
It's becoming harder and harder to find stuff that is coins that are in certified holders that are undergraded. And there are still out there. There's still a ton out there. But to me, that has become a lot tougher of a market to find and make and try and make a living off of. It's possible and people do it, but the money to me would be going and finding the raw coins, uncertified coins, where a dealer says, oh, it's a fine 15, and I look at it and I say, well, I think I can get I think PCGS would call that a VF20, or NGC would call that a VF20. And then just buying it for fine 15 money, maybe I can get it a little bit lower than that. I think there might be a little rim bump or something, and then just trying to play that grade spread and try and make a little bit of money on it. So
yeah, and for a vest pocket coin dealer, like, what do you think? Like, when's it worth it? If somebody's like, "Hey, I might go after this," like, you probably wouldn't want to buy a $20 coin for like $17 because you think it's undergraded. Like, what do you think is kind of like a good margin? Because obviously it'd be awesome to get a hit like what you're talking about on $100 to a $10,000, and I've heard of stories happen. It's not like it never happens, but obviously that's probably not going to come along too much. Like, what do you think is kind of like a target or like a reasonable expectation for somebody who's got a good eye, like the types of jumps that they can expect to see on a good day?
I mean, for a certified coin, if I was trying to upgrade a certified coin, I would want at least a few $100s, $200 to $300 upside in it. But it all depends, because if it's a $5,000 coin, I would want more than $200 upside on it.
Yeah.
So it's all proportional. I always look at it as if it's in an MS63 holder, and I think I can get it in an MS64 holder. If it came back in a 62 holder, what would my risk reward there be to the 63 to the 4 and then the 3 to a 2? So I would want the 3 to a 4 to be a bigger number than the 3 to a 2 being a smaller.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely. And one question that I ask people, I've done kind of videos on it, but like maybe a misstep that they made, like, has there any time been where you've gotten sent in a grade? I'm sure if you're making a living, you're getting a lot of those upgrades, but like, are there any times where there have been like a downgrades, and like, do you have any advice for somebody like to avoid that as much as possible? I've heard obviously you need to, like, you're not learning if you're not occasionally making some mistakes, but like some advice for somebody who doesn't have tons of experience looking at coins to either like buy raw and submit or go through that process with?
Yeah, I mean, to start this, the number of mistakes was immense. It just comes with time and seeing more coins and just understanding what the strike and eye appeal really mean to the grade and stuff like that. So advice to somebody who is doing that, I would use the already graded coins as kind of a benchmark of and then use that benchmark to buy the raw coins. So if you see a Washington quarter and an MS63 holder, you take a good hard look at it and spend some time looking at it. And then when you go and you're buying uncertified coins, you kind of have an idea what an MS63 needs to look like. If it's how many marks, how much luster, does it have nice toning, stuff like that. And that will all weigh into the grade at the end.
And how much do you think there's like, some people try to carve out a lane that I've spoken to in the coin industry and like just really crush it in that sense. Brick and mortar, and we'll kind of transition over to that experience for you. You're probably seeing just a huge variety of coins. Like, do you think that you're kind of a specialist in anything? And like, do you think people should try to be developing like, knowing the piece dollars really well and that grading standard? Or do you think that there should be a focus, or is it kind of whatever you want to do, or do you go a little bit wider?
Yeah, at the end of the day, coin collecting all comes down to what you like. And as a collector, you just go with what you like. You don't have to overextend and try and learn everything and get into every single crevice of the industry. But as a dealer, you're going to want to know a little bit about every series, at least a little bit about every series, smaller varieties and stuff like that could really help you out. And if you don't make the grade, but you have there's a nice variety on there, and then you can advertise it as the variety, and you might find somebody who needs that, and that might make up for the grade that you didn't get on it. So sorry, I forget. I feel like I'm kind of went off tangent there, but
no, that's great to hear different perspectives. And then I guess, so at this point, you mentioned that you were doing something else for a year before kind of transitioning over into the, making the leap and going out to California to Americana Rare Coin. I'm just curious what you were doing there. And like, I'm also, after that, just like, how's the transition over into doing coins full time?
Yeah, I did a couple things before I right out of college, before I started doing coins full time. One of them was I worked at a pretty big auction house in Pennsylvania, and we did pretty much just general antiques. We had a coin sale when I was there that I helped put together, guns, stuff like that, just fine art, pretty much everything you could possibly think of, but really like high quality items. So I did that for probably a little over a year, and then I transferred. I was doing digital marketing, just running Facebook ads and pixels on sites, stuff like that, for approximately another year. And then this opportunity opened up, and I was all about it.
Yeah, like I don't blame you.
Coins, digital marketing. Like,
yeah.
Let me see some coins.
yeah.
So.
And what do you think's your favorite part about now working in a high end coin dealership?
It's kind of cool just to see. You never know what's going to come in. That's the absolute most fun part. Some people come in and they'll have boxes of stuff, and they won't really have anything that really excites me. And somebody else will walk in and they will have one coin, and it'll be in a box, ungraded. They have no idea what they have, and it's like a $2,000 coin, or just something like a really nice example of something. And that's what gets me really excited. You never know. It's cool when I can tell somebody, yo, you got a great coin here. Like, look at that. Like, they don't know, but like they see my excitement. So
Absolutely. I was just kind of working with a coin collection last weekend. And this video for the viewers will come out, but there was like a $17.99 dollar in there, which was not something that they knew was in there, and it was it's going to go off to get graded, and I'm going to help them with that process. Is there anything like that's recently stood out as like something that was a really cool find for you kind of coming in the shop?
We had we had a bunch of cool stuff come in. We had a gentleman it was a handful of gold coins, and they were Carson Cities, Charlotte Mint, and one of them was an 1837 $2.50 gold.
Oh, that
that was cool. It's a classic head. I don't see that too often, especially walking in off the street, which was really cool to see a little group like that. And we just actually got the grades back today. Nothing crazy grade wise. The 37 came back XF 45. So just good middle of the road, nice grade, good wear, no distracting issues, scratches, dings like that. So that's cool. Always cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. Are there any like projects that have been kind of an ongoing thing, or like, I know you talked about like doing some, looking at a lot of raw coins and then kind of going through the grading process. Sounds like it was like that. Like, have there been any other experiences recently that stood out?
Just trying, nothing in particular that people would see as a customer coming in. We're always trying to do stuff in the back, trying inventory management for a business like this is always really hard. Inventory management and cash flows are the two most difficult things. Somebody could come in with 50 ounces of gold that they want to sell, and our goal here, and what we have done very well doing, is never saying no to somebody. We try not to turn anything away. We try and put a number and make an offer on everything, whether it be 2 cents, a penny, or $100,000 on 50 ounces of gold. So we always try and stick numbers on stuff, and that's it's hard because we just have to manage those cash flows to make sure we are good to pay all the bills at the end of the month, and have some money in the bank for when the next person comes in.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something, I haven't talked to people who are working in a brick and mortar. And that's definitely, I would think, a huge part of the business. Like, how much of the time, just like so people can get a sense, do you think you're focused on like buying coins versus like the behind the scenes versus like selling coins? Does that question make sense? Like, how much of it's like the frameworks behind it, like the accounting and the like making sure everything's good on the books versus like being like in the trenches doing the coins, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it takes quite a bit of time to upkeep stuff in the back, book wise, and cost coding, making sure we have kept track of our costs when we sell stuff, including grading. So when a coin comes in and it's we pay $100 for it, and we send it for grading, and then we send it to CAC, and it's like keeping track of all that to follow that coin, so we know how much profit we made on that at the end of the day. That's difficult. So we end up spending. It's probably quite a bit less time now. We have somebody doing the accounting, which is awesome. 10 out of 10, doing a 10 out of 10 job, which is
That's
sweet.
Great.
Which really lightens the burden for us to just focus on making sure everything's cost coded correctly, and we're purchasing stuff at the right prices and stuff like that.
Yeah, and one question that kind of popped in my mind as well is, you mentioned buying big gold, also buying coins. Like, is that something you could share? Like, what is a lot of what you're doing bullion? Like, what percent do you think of the different, do you see like currency or like exonumia and tokens? Like, what percent allocation do you think kind of falls under the different categories within, what a coin shop is purchasing in your case?
These past couple of months, it's kind of an outlier because gold and silver have been going up like crazy. So it has definitely brought a lot of people out of the woodwork wanting to buy or sell, depending on what their position is and what they think is going to happen in the future. I would say these past few months, I'd say the past 6 months, probably my 60 to 70% of the business has been bullion. I would say certified coin wise makes up almost the rest of that, and probably 5%, 5 to 10% on the currency side.
Okay.
We have a decent selection of currency right now, but not the amount of good coins coming in is a lot bigger than the amount of good pieces of currency coming in. Currency is definitely a lot more scarce, and it makes sense because it's 100 years old. It's just a piece of paper. At least the coin's a metal. It's gonna stand the test of time.
Yeah. Is that something that, do you think you have any, like, as a collector, or is there anything that you kind of like the most in coin collecting? Because I think a lot of people, I get the sense, kind of totally separate it. Like, for me, I have a small collection. I'm not really a dealer, though. I think the YouTube aspect is the biggest for me. Like, I do like a typeset. Like, is there any way that you like have a special appreciation for a certain set of coins?
I'm always a fan of the bust halves. The bust halves, every time I see a nice one. But generally, I am just a fan of a quality coin. And I see a lot of coins, and not to say they're not quality, but of that exceptional quality level, probably only a few percent of all the coins I see are at like just really, really high quality for what it is. And that could mean at any grade level. It could be an XF45. It just has good luster. There's no issues to it. It's got, or it has some retained luster around the devices, and just looks really good eye appeal, stuff like that. And I feel like a very small percentage of coins I see are like that. They've been messed with, and even if they're not detailed coins, meaning they've been impaired, cleaned, damaged, hold, stuff like that, there's just not a lot of really top 1% tier coins that are on the market. A lot of people, so it excites me when I see them. And I don't have too many coins in my personal collection. I'm kind of probably doing what you're doing, just kind of a typeset of just really nice coins when I see them as they come up, and I'm like, wow, that seems like a good value for what it is, and I'll try and pick it up for reasonable price if I can.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard a lot of people kind of discuss that, and it's not something, I don't know if I'm at a level where I can like recognize what gives a coin the quality look, but I've definitely, you see some Instagram posts about like a coin that is in a 65 holder, but it looks like like the devices are kind of stripped of the luster, or like for whatever reason it doesn't really have the originality. Is that something again that you're just like, for people listening, that's like from seeing a lot of different coins and like kind of understanding the nuances of what would make a coin have that good original look to it, the quality that you're talking about?
Yeah, it just does have to do with looking at a lot of coins. And if you're interested in a particular series, you'll get to know that series over time. And when you look at, like, for example, a Morgan dollar, sometimes I see them and they have like this chromy look to them. And I personally don't know why they get this chromy look, but I know it's not a natural look. They didn't come off the dies looking like that. And it may be that they were over dipped or just improperly stored. It could have been a variety of different things. But and 5 years ago or more, I would not have known that. And it's just from seeing so many Morgans and seeing what the luster should look like. And even the New Orleans Mint Morgan dollars, where there's not quite the luster that a San Francisco Mint Morgan would have, and just understanding of New Orleans isn't going to be as lustrous, and it might have a little bit less of a stripe to it than San Francisco. So weighing those out, and over time just seeing how the poker chips stack essentially on different coins.
Yeah, definitely. That's something super neat. Like I've, when I compile stuff for a presentation, I'll see like, oh, this mint had different quality control issues, that sort of thing. So that probably for the viewers out there, definitely testament to like learning what you're dealing with pretty well in terms of like those nuanced things. Cause I've heard that they can make like a huge difference. I also kind of was curious about something that you were saying before in that CAC or CAC, that you often will send coins to PCGS or NGC, whatever, and then send them to CAC. What percent do you think of coins, like, is that just for the really high end stuff and really valuable things? Or do you think, does Americana Rare Coin like do that with the majority of their coins to try to get the increase that a CAC sticker would that premium that it would command?
Great question. So generally what we look at to decide if sending it to CAC would be worth it or not would be just past auction records. What are they selling for? So if 5 of them sold and they didn't have CAC stickers and they were bringing $500, and here's one that did have a CAC sticker and it brought $750 or $600 or $650, and we might say, hey, just put that in the submission and see if we can't get a little bit extra out of it. CAC, their thing is, well, they don't want the sticker to add value to the coin, but the market shows that it does. And so it is just something to weigh and look at what stuff's selling for and make the decision accordingly.
Yeah. I'm also kind of curious, this is a tangent and maybe it's not even true, but I feel like I've seen some pretty cool coins posted on your Instagram because I follow you. And do you guys deal with top pop coins ever? And do those, like, what's the process when you have one of those to sell it? Like, are you trying to place that to an individual collector, or like selling it on Great Collections or Heritage or something like that, where it's just like an auction? Or like, are you trying to hold out for like a registry set collector who's going to pay like by far top dollar because they're trying to get all of those, say, Buffalo nickels and with over mint marks or something like that. Like how do you approach like a top pop coin? For those I just forgot to mention, for those who don't know, who are watching, that's like the best graded coin, the highest number on a specific coin from one of the companies.
So it depends what the coin would be. So if it were a Morgan dollar, we pretty much have a gentleman that we would call, he's a local. He is one of the top Morgan dollar registry sets. And there's a couple people here that are local to us that come into the shop that have top registry sets in Lincoln cents or Buffalo nickels, Morgan dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends what kind of coin it was. If it was an Indian cent or something along those lines, or a $2.50 1837 $2.50 gold coin in MS64, that's not a coin that if it was worth enough money, we would just send it to auction, or try and turn over some rocks and see if somebody didn't know somebody who had a registry set that could fit in. But yeah, it's always fun to get them back. The finest knowns. We actually just got one back today. I have it sitting here. Ironically, it's a 1937 D over D.
Oh, sweet.
Buffalo
nickel. Yeah, I think I just saw it. Yeah.
I just posted it not long ago today. It's a RPM2. So I purchased this, and it was already in an MS67 holder. It's an MS67 Plus. And I was just looking at the mint mark. I'm like, wow, that's a repunched mint mark. And I didn't even realize it when I had purchased it. And
that's
sure
awesome.
enough, that was the previous finest known was, I think, an MS67. So that was a 7 Plus. I just sent it in a couple of weeks ago, and sure enough,
congrats.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
That's huge. But, go for it.
Yeah, it's not like this particular one, the 38 D over D. It's not a crazy money coin. This is actually a personal coin of mine. I purchased it kind of as a typeset coin. It's a 67 Plus, and it cost about $500. And you can't find any MS67 Pluses in Buffalo nickels that aren't 38 Ds. They are the most common in high grade. So I picked that up, didn't think anything of it, and then sure enough, had a little score there.
Yeah. I'm curious because like one thing I don't know at all, like, is there the same, like if you have the finest known coin on the errors, like does that get a really big response from error collectors, or is that a small subset of people who really care about the very best coin out there with an error?
It depends what the error is. So like if it's a red book variety, that's generally what matters. If it's like a standard red book variety or has a PCGS number, those are the ones that are going to bring significantly more. So for like a 1990 off-center Lincoln cent in MS68 red, which I don't even know that exists. Like I've seen 67, stuff like that. But for the sake of the argument, I'll say MS68 red, 1990 off-center Lincoln cent. It's really going to take a special collector and somebody who's really looking for that piece in particularly. So that would be less of an expensive error in comparison to, say, a standing Liberty quarter error, which is one of the rarest error coins in United States coinage. I think there's only a couple dozen errors, like significant off-center errors or stuff like that, out of the whole series of hundreds of millions of coins from 1916 to 1930. So.
Interesting. That's not something that I think about. And then what do you think? Do you think that there's like hype with like there's a 1984 doubled ear, and that's not a super expensive error coin, but there's also like an 88 or an 83. I'm forgetting exactly which one. Like, what do you think goes into like making something kind of like hyped up as an error? Is it just like the attributors deciding to say that this was cool and promoting it in some story, or do you think it's more like, I don't really know how that process goes?
Yeah, it really depends. a good example of that would be like a 1937 D three-legged buffalo nickel. They're
Hmm.
actually a lot more common than most people would think. You know, they end up bringing $400 to $500 at minimum for usually $400 to $500.
Hmm.
But the name three-legged buffalo, I think, has really hyped up, people looking for, oh, three-legged. So in that case, the name has hyped it up. But in the case of like the 1955 double die Lincoln cent, just being able to see it with the naked eye, it's a lot more scarce than I think a three-legged buffalo.
Yeah, so that's definitely interesting about the errors. I guess I'm kind of curious in closing, and I'd love to have you back more going forward for some specific topics to discuss. But like, are there any pieces of advice or like things that you'd want to say to collectors, maybe from your perspective as somebody who's transitioned from like a casual but serious dealer in high school to somebody who's now going full time? Like anything that you'd want to tell the viewers pretty much out there?
Yeah, anybody from the casual collector all the way up to the advanced collector, go to your local coin shop, talk to them, just build relationships, rapport with them. They won't bite, I promise. A lot of coin dealers get a bad rep for trying to take advantage of people, but not everybody's like that. We really try and be as fair as possible with people when they come in, and teach them and show them, and really guide them to what they like and what they want to collect, and what's their budget, what's their grade level, what do they look for, what strikes their fancy in coins, essentially. So yeah, it's just all about guidance and building the rapport.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That actually brings me, this isn't really a great closing question, but like how you made the relationship to end up at Americana Rare Coin as opposed to, a coin shop that was 45 minutes away. Was that meeting the owner, Glenn, like somewhere, meeting him, or was it like you did business online with him? Like, what was that like?
I actually met Glenn where I met you at summer seminar. So when I was still in high school, I went to my first summer seminar, which I had learned about at the Baltimore Coin Show. And I went there, met Glenn at a grading class, bought a coin from him. He was circulating his inventory around to do this grading class. And I was like, I found an exceptional bust half XF45 with nice luster. I was like, yo, how much is this? Is this for sale? And that was the first coin I bought from him. Still have it.
That's
And
great.
and yeah, that's how we kind of just kept in touch since then. That was probably, oh my gosh, 8 years ago or so. And yeah, and just this past year, he invited me out. So yeah.
That's awesome. A really cool story. And yeah, I'm excited having talked with you from a different perspective. I'm sure we'll think of some stuff, some other lenses to tackle kind of a more expert side of coinage from. But it was a pleasure having you on. Can't wait to, you know, get more content out there, and also for the viewers to kind of give us your thoughts if there's any specific questions that you think might be tailored well to somebody like Wes, what stuff that he can answer. But anyways, thanks so much, Wes.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Take care.
Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and get in touch with me on my website, treasuretownYT.com, Facebook, Treasuretown, Instagram at TreasuretownYT, or Twitter at Treasuretown_YT, and I'll look forward to seeing you on some of my future vids.